Hello everybody and welcome to a new episode of Banter Blitz. I've been on the road for a while and I've missed playing. So you know the rules. Challenge me to a game of 5 minutes or 3 minutes and I'll take on as many premium members as I can. To make things a little harder, I've decided to wear this beautiful mustache, but it doesn't really seem to hold. So I'm not sure how long we can keep doing this. I just I don't know. I admire the work of Ron Swanson, but I don't think I can pull it off. So if I can get a quick feedback, if anybody out there can hear me, see me, if the sound is okay, everything is alright, that would be much appreciated. I'll try to keep an eye on the chat while keeping the mustache in my face. And we'll take it from there. Please let me know. Can you see me, hear me? How's the sound? No echoes this time? We've had the occasional sound issue recently. Apologies for that. I hope it's okay. I can't do it. I just can't do it. I tried. Let's get started. See if we have any challenges. And here we go against Mr. Tobu97. Why is the G4? Why am I checkmated? I didn't play F3 and G4. Did he trick me? He challenged me to this position? Do we have that new feature that you can challenge people to a certain position? Looks like it. Congratulations, Tobu97. I'm gonna have to check that we start from the starting position. I hope we do in the next one. What happened there? That was confusing. I didn't get a chance to do much. Anyway, Tino 12, this looks like a position I'm more familiar with, so let's take it from there. And let's check the chat if we are alright. No echoes, all is fine, beautiful. D4, knight f6, Mr. Tino 12. 2473, strong player from Germany. And I will follow Vishy Anand. He's had a lot of success using this setup recently, even though in his latest tournament in Norway Chess, he did switch to 1e4 again. And Tino 12 plays the, what do we call it? Queen's Indian. What do? I always change my lines here. I'll go with Queen A4 this time. I played this for a period of time with mixed results and I have to catch up on the clock already. Bishop E7 is not the main line. Can't remember why. Probably. Well, I'll just castle. I recall some games with Bishop G5 in this position or even some D5 ideas. I think I'll go Bishop G5 and see what happens. D5. Let's take it. If he takes with a knight, that might be the most accurate. Then I'll have to go Bishop E7 and chase a mini advantage, but there's not much there. Well, the structure after ED5, Knight C3 or Knight E5, I quite like for white, but he does take with a knight. And yeah, here I don't have that much, I have to admit. I'll go Rook C1, which looks slightly artificial to make it a bit harder for him to go C5. But generally, yeah, I'm always a fan of taking back on D5, not with a pawn, but with a piece, if possible at all. Because it makes black's setup a little easier. Knight f6 back is also a reasonable move. Knight to c3. Rook c8. That looks slightly artificial, but he's preparing c5. So not too stupid. Not sure what I want to do. Knight e5. Then he takes and c5. Let's try to put our rooks on the c file. I don't like that move. Still warming up. Don't crush me, Tino 12. Knight d7. Yeah, that makes sense as well. Time to do something. I've been slow too. I struggle, but the experts like Svidler and Mr. Trent keep making fun of me for it, that I do struggle at playing 3-minute Banter Blitz. I much prefer playing 5 minutes because it's harder to share all my deep thoughts. And yeah, I haven't achieved anything at all against Tino 12 here, just an equal position. Of course, I'll continue playing and pretending I got something like control of the d-file, but this is pretty much nothing from the white point of view. So far, good job Tino. He's also ahead on the clock. I'm going to have to speed up. I'll go e4, hinting at e5, but he can play e5 himself, and there's not much there. I was intending rook d6, then I panicked for a second when I saw rook c3, bc, knight e4, but then I relaxed again because I saw I have rook d8 check, so it doesn't work yet. Generally, yeah, still not much there. I'm expecting him to go king e7 when I There goes rook c7, fair enough. Let's try to make something happen with f4. Rook e7, king f3, alright. If he goes rook e8, I'll probably have to play f5, but at least I can pretend I want some space and, more importantly, some time on the clock. Still very hard to make progress, but I do have a bit of a space advantage. h5 could be a move here to stop me from going g4, h4, which is what I would otherwise intend to do. Here we go. Little something, my usual boring brand of chess, but nothing to write home about at all. Still, the pressure's on him. He started taking a bit more time, so I'm not that pessimistic. Maybe thinking about h5 here, g5, knight g4. I'm not sure how good that is. Provokes me into going g5. I will oblige. Rook c3, I'm not afraid of, just bc and rook back. No problems there. Well, knight h7, I'll probably go king g4 and keep chipping away at the extra space. He goes knight h5. Can we go f6 and start threatening some things? Maybe. Let's try it. I'm threatening rook d8, so he should probably take and then go king e8, because now it's checkmate. Sorry, Tino 12. There was a quick end to that game. A bit unexpected, but I'll take it. Let's find another one. I'm really paranoid after that first game now that every game will start after f3, e5, g4. How did he do that? That was confusing. And we're playing none other than Mr. Jack Bauer, whose work on 24 I have studied for 9 episodes. He tends to save the world in the end. Little spoiler there. He goes g3. We'll play a boring Catalan. I quite often go dc4 here, but I've studied a bit of the main line for this repertoire against d4 I'm working on, which I'm not sure when it's gonna come out, but maybe one day it will. This is one of the most solid lines for white, this knight e5, knight c6, and bishop takes, where yeah, I still have some work to do. White is solid. He gives up this bishop on g2, is trying to win a pawn on the queen side, and black is trying to either create enough play for the pawn should you lose it, or to ideally keep it. And I wish I could remember what I looked at here. Queen c2, am I supposed to go c5? I think I'm supposed to go c5, or rook takes d4. So many options. Nah, I think c5 is the move here. Takes, and if queen c4, the game becomes rather dull, but he starts with bishop e3. I'll go, I'm sure I looked at something like this, but I can't remember a thing. So some more work to do for me there. Queen h5 is a typical move, but the black attack tends to be not overly strong here. If white gets in f3, it's hard to make anything special happen on the king side. So not that impressed with my opening play, but can't be too bad yet either. f3, what do I do? Knight d5. A lot of pressure from Jack Bauer here. I want to go bishop a6, but then queen a4 worries me a little bit. I'll still do it and try to wing it after queen a4. But the opening has gone wrong, so certainly more work to do there for me. Not sure where it went wrong. Rook d8 I thought was correct. That's some game by Aronian. Queen c2. Maybe I'm supposed to take on d4 there. I'll look it up, but not sure. In this position I'm not happy. Queen a4 looks unpleasant. Even knight takes c4. It's not clear I have enough for the pawn, frankly. Rook c8, b3. And where do I make progress? I'm calculating knight c4, maybe rook dc8, b3, but no, that also doesn't help my cause all that much. No, Jack Bauer outsmarted me. Bishop f2 looks a bit off topic though. We'll go c3. That's another typical idea for this line. Anand played it in a slightly different but sort of similar position against Kramnik. Queen c3, I think I have bishop e2 and bc3. At least I gain some activity for my pieces. Queen a5 looks like his knight has to retreat, or he has to do something clumsy like queen c1 or queen b2, and I think I'll generate some play. So yeah, I might have caught a break here. Not saying I'm better, or maybe I'm still worse, but at least I got some squares for my pieces now. Bishop a7, bishop e2 looks alright. So I am happy to see events develop like this. He goes a4, I'll just go knight d5, hint at knight takes c3. Not sure knight d5 was good, blocking the d file actually. I'll pretend like it was all part of the plan. I'll go knight b6, intending knight to c4. If he takes on b6, he gives up a bit of protection for his king. Then after queen takes, maybe some queen e3 is in the air. And black should be more or less fine. And we'll see how it goes. Why am I so small, by the way? Shouldn't I be bigger? Rook d1, I'll play knight c4. Take it from there. He takes, I'll take. Still a pawn down. I feel like I have enough compensation now, but I still have to do something, which is not my forte. I prefer doing nothing to doing something very much. Rook's probably gonna go back to a1. If rook b3, I can take on a4, I guess. If I'm not blundering, rook b8 then. No, but then I would have queen d7 minimum. So I'm expecting rook a1. What can I do then? Queen d5, bishop a7, queen d1. Maybe. Rook a2. Yeah, then I'll definitely go for queen d5, hoping for cheat pose with queen d1 check, picking up the knight from a3, from b1, sorry. He could go knight a3. Then I can at least take and give a check, and I should be fine. But maybe I can think of something a little more ambitious, knight a3, knight d2 or some stuff like that. Not sure. Jack Bauer holding himself very well here. Knight a3, yeah, queen d1, takes, king g2. I'm not better there. Knight d2 does look artificial, however. I gotta keep gambling. It's a stupid move. I'll play it, but I don't like it at all. Which probably means I shouldn't have played it. Knight d2, now bishop e3 might be a problem. I was pretending that I want to take on f3, then ef, queen f3, but I'm not that convinced it works. c4 might also be a problem. Now I can bail out with knight takes c4 if I choose to do so. Or I can keep gambling, but yeah, let's see what happens. Knight f3. Not sure this works, but after ef3, queen f3, I'm threatening rook d1, and I have some ideas with bishop b7. So at least to keep the game going, this does look a bit more interesting. It might be good, who knows. Rook a1, I'll play bishop b7, threatening queen g2 checkmate, and queen h1 checkmate. If he moves this bishop, then, well, at the very least I have a check on h1 and g2, and something should give. So I don't know, this could work actually. What am I missing? Bishop e1. Well, let's rook d1 as well. Maybe bishop e1 is a bit more tricky. Maybe I'll start with bishop b7 then again. And of course the main news is that Jack Bauer, as usual, is running out of time. He doesn't even have 24 seconds left. This is 17 seconds. And he resigns. Yeah, not great opening treatment by yours truly. I'm going to have to look up the line. I can't remember the details after knight a3, but I'll check it out and we'll try to find a new opponent. Who we got? Mr. Cubone. Let's play e4 for a change. I've watched a lot of e4 games during Norway chess. I'm still as scared as Fabiano Caruana should be of the Sicilians, especially the Najdorf, where Caruana yesterday lost yet again against Wesley. So that's the reason I've never really flirted with the idea of playing e4, like e5 or Caro-Kann or even French. I think I could wrap my head around. But these Sicilians, they're so hard to understand if you don't have practice in them from childhood, that I just don't feel very comfortable there. Let's see what Cubone comes up with, or maybe he's not there. If he's not there, we'll find someone else. I'll use the time to check the chat. Jack Bauer enjoyed his attempts to save the Catalan. You're more than welcome. Bauer lost, and yeah, everything seems to be fine. At least I don't see complaints. But Q1 doesn't seem to be there, so I'll do my usual countdown till 5 and abort. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lift off. Let's find someone else. Here we are back with Mr. Dover Beach. I think I played Dover Beach again, but no, I think I played him already in the past in one of my Banter Blitz sessions. But I think he also complained a lot that he never got chosen in any of these Banter Blitzes. So there he is again, and I abandoned my brave plans of playing 1 e4 and chose to enter the game in my boring territory of 1 knight f3, c4, knight c3, this sort of symmetrical Maroczy structure with g3, which, yeah, I quite like for white. And I've had a lot of games here. Knight takes d4, queen a5, d6, knight g4, all possible moves. So is queen b6. Someone recently played queen b6 against me, and I didn't get anything. Of course, that did not stop me from not looking at the line. Let's put the knight on c2. That looks natural. Trying to regroup it maybe to d5. Probably that's what I did in that game where I got nothing at all. I'm going to have to check queen b6. d6 looks like the normal move now, when maybe I'll just quietly develop my bishop with b3, bishop b2. In general, in these positions, if black can't drum up any counterplay, then white tends to be a bit better because of his control of the center and his active bishops. So black normally tries either something with a6, d5, or here he goes a5. a5 is a bit committal though. He might be planning to go a4 in some lines, so I will go rook b1, put my rook on the same file as his queen to stop any a4 shenanigans. Rook d8, hinting at d5. I don't think d5 is a threat yet, but no, I'll put my knight on e3 and maybe I'll go knight d5. Maybe not. Not an easy position to play, but especially with black. Computers normally are very happy for black in all these structures, but then if you keep making some moves, sometimes even they struggle to find a plan. So over the board, I've had reasonable success in these types of positions. Knight b4, he's trying to provoke me to go a3, and I will oblige. Then if he retreats, which I assume he will, the question is, do I go knight d5, then bishop d5, cd, another typical structure. I'll do that, but I'm not convinced it's best. So after knight d5, bishop d5, just to exchange more pieces and then end up with a bishop on g2 against the knight on c6. Do I want that? Now let's keep some more pieces on the board. Play cd5. Knight e5 looks natural. Then I'll play bishop d4 and try to gain space with h3, f4. And probably white is a bit better, but I'm never sure about the timing of these knight d5 moves, when they're good, when they're bad. When they're useless, knight goes to a7. Okay, I'll go bishop d4 anyway. Expecting queen a6. Then I might play a4 just to stop black from going knight to b5. Queen c7, but that gives me more tempi to kick his queen around, which are very welcome. Now yeah, if the queen goes to d7, all of a sudden knight c4 could be a bit awkward. He wants to go knight b5, but I have knight b6, so you can't really do that. And knight c8, which he probably has to play, does look very passive. Rook c8, can I still? Oh no, now I can take the knight, which is helpful. I'm going to have to think b5. Well, at the very least I have bishop b6 picking up an exchange, so that's good enough for me. And Dover Beach resigns. Thanks for the game, Dover Beach. I'm going to have to check this queen b6 move. And I'll check if we can find more takers. let's play another way too strong opponent for a Banter Blitz session. Chess Forever, who's that guy? 2686. That is ridiculously strong, and he wants to play 3 minutes, so forgive me, I'm gonna have to limit my commentary a bit to have any sort of chance against this guy, whoever he is. My rating has been going down steadily. My H has been going up, but the rating has gone down, and he plays a theoretical line of the Grunfeld. Here, e3 is the main move with slow maneuvering. Knight c3 was something I thought was interesting, offering this pawn. Van Vele played this against Magnus Carlsen. Magnus Carlsen just castled here, as does Chess Forever. But now this line with d5 and queen c2, I thought was supposed to be a little something for white. He does seem confident, however, blitzing out his moves. And I've never studied this in detail. It's sort of a symmetrical position where I think white was supposed to be a bit better. Not sure about the details. This could be the game Carlsen-Van Vele. I'm going to have to look that up. Rook c8 looks natural. I'll just go rook c1. The problem for black is his queen is a little unfortunate on d8 in the spin, and queen e8 is also not something you really want. Goes e5. I'll try to provoke some more small weaknesses before deciding where to put my bishop. f6. I'll probably just go to e3. Now if knight c4. I was intending queen b3, but then knight a5, so I'll probably go bishop c5 instead. Yeah, this position is nothing special as usual, but it is slightly more pleasant for white to play, I would guess. I'll go knight d2, hinting at knight e4, or after f5, bishop b6, and knight c4, trying to make my way to the d6 square. I did miss knight to d4, which could be a bit of a problem, actually. Knight d4, queen d3, bishop f5. Yeah, of course, he goes there. What else can I do? I don't see anything else, so I'll go queen d3. Bishop f5 is not that devastating yet, but I should have seen that coming. Knight ce4 or knight de4, I'm not sure. Knight de4 looks more natural, but it gives up control over the c4 square, which I'm not sure I want to do. Probably I'll go knight ce4 actually, then I can always go bishop d4 and queen b3 check if I have to. Well, let's see. Bishop f5 is also not forced. Maybe he's contemplating bishop c6 or even a move like f5. Oh yeah, he goes f5. And can I take on b7? I really want to take on b7. e4, queen b1, rook c3. Probably that's the idea. Yeah, it seems to work for black, so we'll take on d4 and go knight d5. I don't like parting with the two bishops, but I thought this structure should warrant it. Queen b3, threatening some discovered checks, but he does have bishop to a4, which is a little unfortunate. I'm going to have to calculate. Probably I'll go queen b4. No, he just goes king h8, also makes sense. And can I... I want to go knight c7, but then queen takes e2, and black seems to have everything covered, which once again is very unfair. So let's take here instead. Something went a little wrong. Bishop c4 and queen c4, I'm still optimistic, but there's no reason for him to do that. Queen e2, I think I can take on b5. Well, I might be threatening knight d6, but yeah, bishop a4 is certainly a possibility. Queen b6, queen e2, I don't want to allow, so I'm going to go here. Yeah, nothing special, I'm afraid. Queen e7, at least I can take a pawn, which I will gladly do. I'm going to have to speed up a little bit. So far I have not fallen behind on the clock at least. Also not much ahead. Bishop e8, what do we do? Let's centralize the knight. Queen d6 and jump around. Bunch of very pointless knight maneuvers, but I'm still a pawn up. How bad can it be? Once again, time to speed up a little. I do have the knight, which is jumpy, which might come in handy. And there it does come in handy. Now I'm winning, but I haven't been all that fast. So let's see if I'll be quick enough. Rook c8 is tough to meet though. And yeah, chess forever resigns. Yay me. Interesting game. I'm not sure what happened, but in general I like this line for white, and I believe black should go knight takes d4 instead of castles. Let's find a new opponent. Everyone challenges me to 3-minute games. It's really tough. Fistandantilus 2000 from Italy. I just went to Italy, played a tournament in Sardinia, Portomanu. Lovely tournament, but I played terribly, which was a pity. I will do my usual boring thing. And here, after knight f3, I'll play d takes c4, the Vienna, which is an opening I've been looking at. It has been played recently in Giri against Aronian. Bishop f6 in this position, not a move I'm familiar with. Can't be that scary if you ask me. Quite often white goes e4 and then black goes h6. So this looks like a pretty decent version of any of that stuff. Generally, these positions, computers are always happy for white here from a distance, but I never really understood why. Black is a pawn up and nothing too terrible seems to be happening. But 95 asks some questions. Maybe I mixed up the move order a little. Okay, let's see. Castles, he's going to go bishop f3. 27 takes. We shall see. What I was thinking about is a, b, c, b, knight takes b5, which might work. I don't think I'm much worse there, but probably not in great shape either. He goes queen c2, which also makes sense. And this position is tricky. It's not so easy to free myself, unfortunately. Terrible move. No, I don't like this move. I wanted to prepare bishop e5 and knight d7. But once again, maybe there is a b, cb, knight b5, or knight e4. Yeah, that's what I was more concerned about, actually. Let's see what happens. Knight d6, queen d6, and I don't see anything too dramatic. Of course, white still has some compensation for the pawn because my pieces are a little passive. But if I get them out and I'm in time to later prepare c5, I'll be optimistic. I do like pawns. Maybe knight takes d7 is a better option. Queen takes d7 and then just rook d1, keeping knight to c5 in reserve, or even b3. It's quite typical there, with very good compensation for the pawn, actually. Fistandantilus 2000, putting some pressure on poor me. Oh yeah, he took on d6, I like that less. I think he should have taken on d7 and kept his knight on e4 to control the c5 square. AB, now I'm going to have to go AB. But I don't mind really. If he takes on a8, I'm not even sure. Maybe I'll recapture with the bishop to put the bishop on a protected square. Then again, rooks need open files, so I think I'll take with the rook. Yeah. No, now I'm fine. Now I'm a pawn up, and there's not that much white is to show for it. My bishop is a little passive, but does have hope to enter the game later. So I should be at the very least fine. Still, if b3, yeah, he plays b3, these positions can be very tough to win. Because, well, my extra pawn is this guy who's a bit passive and easy to attack. And white normally gets a grip on the c5 square. Which, yeah, makes it very hard to make progress here. Now the big question is always, if you want to go h6 or g6 to create a luft. No right answer there. Both have pros and cons. Rook fc1. Yeah, very hard. Black is a pawn up, but very hard to do anything constructive really in these situations. So let's not do anything constructive, but make moves fast. Hard to even see a sensible move. Now I see some tricks. If I see tricks, I'm always happier. Bishop c6, rook c4. Now that I got the a file, at least there's some hope for me, but he does still have very good compensation. Does this make sense? Before bishop c6 takes. No, not really. Play rook c4, but the ending, the bishop ending after rook takes, pawn takes, should also not hold that much promise for me, frankly. Still, I'll play. Yeah, he wins his pawn back, which makes the position extremely drawish. Now, if I was a fair player, which we all know I'm not, I might offer a draw here. Is there any winning chances? No, not really. No, let's offer a draw. And f5, h5 would be unfortunate. This is probably a pre-move because he has a little time, but I've offered a draw twice. Is it still a draw? Ah, yeah, now it's not anymore. Sorry, Fistan Dantilus. It was, yeah, he deserved the draw. He should have taken it. But yeah, good game. Not sure what went wrong for me. Maybe nothing went wrong. It's just this position. White has enough compensation for the pawn. And I did not find a way to really put pressure, except for on the clock. Alright, next opponent. Megatron is back. That sounds scary. I haven't watched any of the Transformers movies, but Megatron is the bad guy as far as I can tell. Good news for me is his rating is not as scary as his name, so I am a favorite here. And I will dare to play the Sicilian. He says hi. Let's be polite and say hi. Goes c3. This is one of the lines I have a bit of experience with. I quite often play the Sicilian if I think my opponents will play c3. More concerned about the open Sicilian. c3, knight f6, e5, knight d5 I've always thought offers decent winning chances with, yeah, not that much risk is a line I quite like for black. Going e6, d6 later on, and nothing too bad is happening. What's happening in the chat? Jan not playing for cheapos, surely not. Sounds like you haven't watched a lot of my work. A lot of action there. I probably shouldn't be studying it. Jack Bauer says he was winning in our game. When was that? Queen e2? No idea. Oh, there goes my time. Megatron says he did kill Optimus Prime. Optimus Prime is the good guy. I'm sure he's not dead. We will never find out. Yeah, this is the line I was mentioning that I've played quite a bit. Knight c3 here. Normally the knight comes to f3 first. Knight c3 I'm actually not that familiar with. How does this go? Because I'm curious. Normally this is fine for black if the knight is on f3 already. Let's say bishop d2, d6. But here I was wondering if white can go f4. Bishop b2 looks like a worse square for the bishop. Bishop should go to d2, and yeah, after e d6, bishop d6, black is always fine. Now you can go knight d7, b6, bishop b7. The black position is a bit easier to play, actually. But yeah, I'm going to have to look up this bishop d2, d6, f4 stuff. Bishop e4, fair enough. But with these hanging pawns, generally, white shouldn't be looking at exchange for piece exchanges, because those pawns and the squares in front of them can become a little weak. So I'll gladly oblige, exchange the bishops, and now I will try to set up some kind of light square blockade. Go knight f6, put my queen on c4, don't get mated in one. I should probably be greedy and cash in this pawn, since he's offering it. After king h1 I have knight f6 with tempo, and then, yeah, wherever the queen goes. He says mate, but it is check, so it's not quite mate yet. Don't celebrate too early, Megatron. Knight f6, yeah, now the queen goes somewhere, but I'm in time to go bishop f4. And I'm a healthy pawn up, which is always good. Yeah, generally you can see this bishop is not doing very much on b2. That's why I preferred to put it on d2. Because here, unless you get in c4 and d5, which is pretty tough now, then yeah, there's just not much the white is to show. If black gets in, bishop takes g5, let's say queen c4, knight to d5, this is gonna be torture. So tricky line to play. In general, yeah, I'm happy with black setup, as I mentioned. Andre Kesselring is promising to get a Jan Gustafsson crusher tattoo. I'm not sure if we can hold you up to keep that promise, but I'll have a look. You sent in a picture with your Jan Gustafsson crusher tattoo. That's tempting. g3, bishop to d6 back, knight g5. Megatron hasn't given up on the idea of checkmating me, but I don't like that idea, so I'm not gonna let it happen. Yeah, the black position more or less plays itself. Queen g4, this loses a piece to f5, but even after queen h3, queen c6 or queen c4, the white defense was pretty grim. Oh, and after I said it lost a piece, I realized that he does have queen g6, fe, queen takes e6, so it doesn't lose a piece yet. But maybe I have some tricky move after queen g6, like queen c6, defending e6, and if the knight moves, there's a discovered check coming. Deep calculations by yours truly as usual. Yeah, now it's just a piece up and no longer very exciting, but I will happily get in this cheapo nevertheless. Winning the queen, Megatron. I told you Optimus Prime was not dead. Yeah, this game is over. Not many chances left. Fe, queen takes e4. And, well, black is pretty much winning. Come on, Megatron, accept your fate. While Megatron is wrestling with the idea of resigning, I'll slowly mentally prepare myself for the next opponent. And yeah, he does resign. Let's see whom else we get, if there's any challenges left. Phoenix 2K. I think I played Phoenix 2K at some point in the past. Not sure I have. Let's see what he's up to. 2-3-31. German guy. And yeah, we've played 4 games. I've lost 1, which is very upsetting. Let's see if he's there. If he's not, I'm gonna find someone else. Doesn't seem like he's there, so I'm gonna abort and find a new game. Let's see who we got. Mr. Fabian. Did I play Fabian before? No, it doesn't look like. From Iceland. Interesting. Let's go 1d4, as I tend to, knight f6, and honoring the memory of Mr. Lawrence Trent, who's left us to become Fabiano Caruana's manager. All the best for him there. I'm gonna play the Trompovsky, which I used to play quite a bit in the old days. This is one of the, I'm not sure if one of the critical lines, but it is a line. f3, knight f6, and we get sort of a weird Sicilian, where white will go knight c3, e4, long castles. And hope that the black queen on c5 is a little misplaced. Not a big specialist here, depends how black arranges his pieces, I guess. But the position should not compare too badly to a Sicilian. It's a bit hard for black to get an e6 here, because d6 is on pre, so if I want to I can always go bishop e3, and I might think about some moves like knight to b5 or something. He goes bishop e6, more in dragon spirit, which makes sense. Go knight e2, planning to go bishop e3, and then either knight d4 or knight f4. Probably knight f4 to ask this bishop some questions. Rook c8, yeah, all makes sense. Let's play king b1. One big problem with the long castles is you always have to spend an extra move on this king b1 thingy to get it to relative safety. Yeah, we've reached a strange position. It looks somewhat like a dragon, but not really. Knight f4, bishop g7, bishop takes would be sort of a dragon position. He goes bishop g7, and true to my nature, I will... Will I try to simplify? I was gonna say I'll try to simplify, but I saw he can just take on d5. I don't have anything special. I don't know if this move was correct. I was hoping for queen takes d2, knight takes f6, intermediate check, but he can just go knight takes d5. And yeah, this doesn't look like much, frankly. Knight takes, now he takes, of course. Rook takes. Not much happening. Can I go bishop b5, or is this ridiculous? You can tell I'm not much of a Sicilian player. I'm trying to stop castlings because of bishop c6. Well, after a6, at least I weakened this b6 square where my knight might find a new home. I'd probably just go back to wherever e2. But objectively, this can't be much for white. Maybe b6, intending knight to e5. I don't know. At least I'm asking some questions. a6 makes sense as well, but I was hoping that knight b6 would be a bit of a problem for him. We shall see. He goes b5, and as we know, I like bishops, so I'm gonna try to grab that d7 bishop. Is that correct? Yeah, why not? Now probably go f4 to hint at e5 and create some space for my own light squared bishop. Still, nothing dramatic has happened. Black has pretty good pieces and hasn't done anything wrong. Let's go rook d1. I have to decide at some point where I want to play, if I want to go c4 or even a4, trying to open the what's called queen side, or if I want to try to grab space on the king side. I'll start here, trying to just get in g5 and some other things. He goes e5, I'm not sure about that, because it's sort of killing his bishop, and knight to d4 looks nice, but I think it's temporary. I always have c3 kicking this guy away, so I don't think e5 was a very good decision by Fabian. Let's see what Fabian comes up with, but now I have something to work with for sure. gf, just go gf. ef was also possible, but I like opening the g file for future endeavors. d5, c3. What am I missing? de4, cd doesn't really work. I'm covering d4 enough times. Knight f3, rook takes d5 also looks pretty good for me. But yeah, that's what he has to do. And then grab the h2 pawn, hope for the best. That does look good. This knight is a bit cut off from the action now. Maybe rook g8. Trying to start a rescue expedition. Still work to do. Rook d8. Rook g8, can I go rook d1? Then if bishop f6, rook g1. f6. Once again, this looks a little passive. Aren't you concerned about your knight? I will try to trap it, and I will not be disturbed by h5. Okay, the knight might make it out alive, but I did win a pawn, and I still have my bishops, so quite content with my position. Bishop f8, what's that about? Stupid move. I should have played rook h1. Now he can take and get his knight out, and I'm still better, close to winning, but that was not the most clinical way to do this. Slightly lost the thread here. Good news for me is I still have a very good position, but yeah, as I said, wasn't really the clean way to wrap this up. Let's bring the bishop out, hinted bishop f8 check. Yeah, still almost impossible to defend such a position. The two bishops are effective and I have the extra pawn, which will help me to create a weakness on the black queen side after c4 or a4. So I'm still sort of winning, but should have gone more smoothly, I believe. Fabian is taking his time, bishop d8. Doesn't really matter. I'll start with a4 to build a past c-pawn or a weakness on b5. I might follow it up with c4, then I have to be a little careful this knight doesn't reach the d4 square, but my bishop is sort of dominating the knight, as you can see. With his distance 4 thing, it's always very hard for the knight to get anything going. Now he has to play bishop b6 to stop me from bishop e3. It looks like a good time to advance my pawn a bit further. Now it's just over because bishop e3 will pick up the piece. Yeah, endings with two bishops and an extra pawn are a very pleasant activity. You don't get them all the time. Fabian, yeah, understands he's in trouble and resigns. Moving on to the next game. Who do we have? Saturica. 2603. Oof, that's strong again. People are getting stronger and stronger, so I have to switch to my solid line, and he plays a king's gambit. Bishop f, bishop c4. I always thought bishop c4 was a bit better than knight f3, frankly, or at least a little more solid for white. I still believe black is fine, but this is a playable line. And one which I have looked at for a while. How does it go? I think you recapture. And now, normally white, black was willing to part with the d5 pawn, but not so happy to part with the f4 pawn. If I remember anything correctly. Could be that I mixed something up. h4 here? What happens after h4? Maybe it wasn't supposed to go g5. Not sure if I'm playing this correctly. Castles, knight takes d5. Okay, h4, h6. Knight takes d5, knight c6. I recall having seen something like that and thought it was fine, but I'm not sure it was this exact position. g3, he's out for blood. To bishop h3, I'm assuming he's gonna sacrifice the exchange with gf, and he does, yeah. But an exchange is an exchange. Can this be so bad for me? We shall see. Probably f5, freeing the bishop and preparing some bishop g5 or some nasty activities there. Yeah. Okay, I'll develop some pieces, see how it goes. It's a dangerous position for black. Let's not kid ourselves. Bishop g5, I probably have to go bishop e7, and white can be quite quick building up an initiative here. Interesting line. I'm gonna have to, once again, do more homework. So many lines to study, so little time. Bishop e7, I think, was forced to break the pin, but I'm a little concerned about attacks on the h-file, or even like, yeah, queen f2, queen h4, some ideas in the position. I probably want to go king g7, rook h8 if given a chance. He goes queen g2, king g7. Does he want to take on f6? Probably does, actually. Interesting move. Is this problems? Let's see. King g7, bishop f6, queen g4, bishop g5. I don't see anything too lethal, but I do have a very uneasy feeling about this. Some f6 check, maybe. Some dangers, but I don't see forced win yet. Knight takes d5. Yeah, it's unpleasant. f6, knight f4. Very unpleasant. What can we do? all looks bad. This also looks sort of ridiculous actually. f6, king h6 was my deep plan, but it does feel like I'm getting mated somewhere. Maybe after f6 I'm gonna have to try king f8 actually. When after queen g5 I still have rook g8. Yeah, that's a better shot. But it's still scary. King g2. Guess it's time to get out of the g file. We'll see what happens. I still don't trust my position, but at least I have some ideas of my own now. Rook g8, maybe get the queen out to d6. Position is still quite unclear. Knight f4, rook g8, knight g6 a problem? Nah, hard to believe. Might be a problem. There it comes. Relentless, this guy. Ugh, what have I done? Blundered queen takes. Oh no. Why did I do this to myself? I was only thinking about rook takes, king e8, which might still be bad, but queen takes is a little more scary. I'm still not done because this is check. So there is still hope. Maybe I'm winning actually, but none of this was deeply planned. Now I happen to be winning because I pick up his queen. Weird game, very scary stuff, but everything's well that ends well, I guess. Now he's running out of firepower. Yeah, strange game. Satirica there almost checkmated me with the King's Gambit, which I never thought too highly of. But what are you gonna do? I'm getting some messages. We have some sound problems. Not quite sure what to do about them. Well, I'll continue the show. I can speak up a little bit. I can move the mic closer, but I will try finding a new opponent first. Roberto Di Candia from Spain. Sounds more Italian to me. Is that a Spanish name, Roberto? Maybe it is. Another offbeat line. This is another line. I have a pretty good score against the c4 because I have a good chance to get my two bishops, which is something I'm always excited about. Let's try to put on the moustache for this very special game again. But no, I don't think it's gonna stick anymore. It's so sad. I wish I could wear a moustache all the time. Maybe I should try to grow one, but I'm not sure I can grow one as beautiful as this. So it's gonna be hard. In the meantime, Roberto has sensibly put his pawns on light squares after developing his bishop. However, it did cost him 2 moves to get in d5. So I should have some chances to exploit that a little bit. Start with knight e5. I would expect the bishop to go somewhere, probably to f5. When I want to continue with queen b3, and then we can reach sort of a typical endgame after queen b6, c5, queen takes b3, a takes b3. That I quite like for white. Nothing special as usual, but it's nice. Bishop e7 is asking for trouble, isn't it? Because I have this move, which is a discovered attack towards the knight. Maybe nothing too bad actually after knight f6. Black might still be alright. But we know I like bishops, so I'm always happy to take that guy. Could go e5 here, which looks quite logical, and knight d7, something like queen g4. Or I could try to open the position and try to win a pawn in the center, and that's what I'm gonna do. cd, cd, ed, and if ed or knight d5, I'll go queen b3. Try to attack those two guys. We'll see what he does about it. He goes ed, queen b3. Probably knight c6, then queen b7, knight takes d4. Do I have anything there? Not sure. Maybe I'll just have to play bishop e3 after knight c6, which looks a bit passive, but if it wins a pawn, I'll live with that. But no, it's nothing. Knight c6, bishop e3, castles, and if knight d5, knight d5, let's say bishop takes, bishop b4 check. Black should have enough compensation there. I'm not sure. Looks like the moustache is not making me any smarter. So let's think again. Knight c6, queen b7. You probably have to go for that. Knight d4 and then just castle and hope something good happens. Yeah, it should be. Should be alright for me, but I'm not sure. After castles, if I take on d5 here, at least can go knight e2 and, well, let's say knight d5, bishop d5, rook b8, knight e2, and knight takes c1, which looks kind of drawish. And if I don't take on d5, I'm not sure, maybe rook to d1. I was a bit concerned about knight c2, but that also looks slightly risky for him. So I'll try that. Not sure if what I'm doing is very sensible here. Bishop c5 is possible, but then bishop e3. I thought he might become a little tied up. Well, rook b8, I'll take on a7, knight c2, rook b1. And yeah, nothing much going on. Let's see what Roberto does. He's taking his time here. Yeah, I have a feeling he should play knight c2, then rook b1. I don't know, rook b8, queen a7, d4. But it does look risky for black. Once again, in the opening, allowing me to go this knight takes g4 and e4. It should be risky. We shall see. He goes rook b8. I'll take on a7. And take it from there. Knight b5. Okay. Take that as well. And now, do I blunder my queen after a4? No, but I don't think I want to allow him to go bishop c5. Maybe I can't stop him from going bishop c5. Well, I can't. That's costing me the b2 pawn, which is a pity. Still better after rook b2, bishop d4 or a4. I'm not sure this was strictly necessary. Let's see. Yeah, Roberto Di Candia playing very well so far. a4, now he's going to go rook a5. Try to block my pawn. I will try to not allow that. But I have not reached all that much, I have to admit. Could go queen a8, for example. I took. Now this pawn might be a bit of trouble. Knight d7, I'll go bishop f1. Trying to clear the way. Not sure this was strictly necessary. He gives the exchange, which, yeah, might be a valid defensive try. I have my doubts such a position can be held, though I will probably pick up the d5 pawn along the way, and then with 3 against 3 and the extra exchange with opposite colored bishops and the rook, I think it should be winning for white. But yeah, the position wasn't that easy for Roberto anymore, admittedly. Let's see what he comes up with. I'll wait patiently. Bishop c5, let's attack that guy. Doesn't have a lot of squares. If rook c8. How do we proceed? I'll just attack the pawn, bishop g2. If he goes d4, now I can go rook c1 earlier. That wasn't very smart because of bishop takes f2. But now I managed to overload his pieces and I think I'm winning material. d3's fighting to the last bullet, but the problem is the back rank has been weakened now. And Roberto Di Candia resigned. Good game by Roberto. Let's find another opponent. Here's the challengers list. And there's Mr. Andrei Kesselring. Was he the guy who said he would get the tattoo? I think that's the guy who said he would get a tattoo if I played him, so I'm looking forward to your pictures, Andre. I will play a crazy opening just so you remember the game while you get your tattoo. And I'll go for the Banco Gambit, not an opening I regularly play, but it's something I've always been a bit interested in. I haven't studied all the lines. After BA, well, bishop a6, black has been struggling recently, but I like this line that Magnus Carlsen was playing with knight c3, bishop g7, e4 castles, and then some early queen a5. Looks like there was some tricks there, so I'll go for that. Don't really have a clue though. Why did he start with queen a5? There you can already see I don't really have a clue. f3. f3 is not a very typical move in these positions. However, it does protect the e4 pawn, so maybe queen a5 is not the way to go here. I'll just go d6 and see how he intends to develop. Maybe e6 was the way. Bishop b5, interesting. Now, queen a5, knight e2. Do I have any tricks there? It doesn't look like I do, actually. That's too bad. Okay, then. I'll just go bishop a6 and hope I get some typical vulgar compensation. But interesting setup by Andre Kesselring, I have to admit. Doesn't look like I achieved all that much. Now he can go knight e2, then bring his pieces out. I will play all the typical vulgar moves, queen a5, rook fb8, and probably some knight e8, knight c7. Take it from there. Knight jumps don't scare me all that much yet, so bishop d2 is not much of a problem. Queen c2 looks like a mistake, because it allows me to get in knight b4 with tempo. After queen b1, which he has to play, I'll go queen a6 or c4 and ask some questions with the d3 square all of a sudden available. I'll probably go queen a6, castles, knight d3. How great is that? Now maybe c4 is a more principled move. Then after castles, knight d3, I'm attacking b2, and I might also be threatening queen c5 check or queen a7 check. So it looks quite good. Oh, and I should take off the moustache at some point. Getting used to it already. Double attack, or so I was hoping. Rook b2 and queen check, followed by knight f2, are in the air. Let's see what Andre Kesselring does about it. He goes bishop c1, not the most active choice, and yeah, I think I'll just do the same thing, give a check and take the exchange after knight f2. If he wants to give me the exchange of king h1, knight f2, there's king g1. I don't have a smaller mate, but I do have knight takes e4 for, at the very least, with a pretty good position. Let's see what he does. Yeah, the Banco Gambit. I'm sorry. Interesting opening. Always play king h1. Satirica is pointing out King's Gambit is not as bad as it is often assumed. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the King's Gambit. What I will agree with is that the bishop c4 line I always thought was a better line than these knight f3, g5 lines. But yeah, I have my doubts that it is very, very tempting for white. But it certainly is dangerous, as we saw in our game where I managed to almost get checkmated. Or probably was checkmate at some point, but we just both missed it. And yeah, it was a fun game against Satirica, against Andre Kesselring. I'm getting to have more fun than him, which, yeah, of course, is according to my I'll crush you all Banter Blitz motto, but I don't mind exciting games. As long as I win, then I'll be great sports about it. If I lose, I'll, yeah, probably feel less good about the game. And here after Rook e2, I feel pretty good about it. I'm going to have to recheck the chat if it was Andre Kesselring who said he would get the tattoo, and also if there were any conditions with it. Else, yeah, enjoy your new tattoo, Mr. Kesselring. Why did I give that check? Okay, that helps. But king f1 was kind of unnecessary to give the check, but a rook is a rook, so I was quite confident anyway. Bishop c3. Rook takes rook e1 is a problem. Well, okay. A lot of problems anyway. And Andre Kesselring resigned. What time is it? We still have time for, let's say, 3 more games probably. Who's next? Mr. Matutev. Where's he from? Matutev from Argentina. Interesting. Let's go 1d4 and 2c4. My home territory. He plays the Slav. I've recently looked a bit at the main line while I was playing in Italy, preparing for Sabino Brunello. a6 I've always been comfortable playing against because I like this e3, b3 setup here for white. So no issues there, but let's see what Matutev comes up with. This is a line, yeah, I've prepared recently. I quite liked it for white. I can't remember all the details here, but I do remember that there was the threat of h4 and h5 here, which is why black sort of, yeah, knight ft7 as he plays is one of the main moves. But if black has to go knight ft7, I thought white has to be better here with his two bishops. Bishop b4 doesn't do much after bishop d2, so I like white's chances here, but of course it is a game. I play Matutev before. This position looks very familiar to me, at least. Ah, yeah, we played one game. Maybe it was in Banter Blitz. I can't remember, but I recall I had very similar game already after bishop d2, something like a4. I've had a position like this. Not sure if it was Banter Blitz or normal Blitz. Yeah, I think white is better, but it's not that much. Black takes on c4 probably twice, and then tries to get in c5 at a later stage. So, how often should I say nothing to write home about during a show? I can't say it more than 4 or 5 times. I need a new expression for that. Any suggestions how I should replace nothing to write home about? Not sure. Anyway, a4, asking some questions, so he has to release the tension, go bc, bc, and I think he should also go dc, even though that's not forced. And yeah, I think white is slightly better in all these positions, but nothing to write home about. After dc, another question is, I'll probably go bishop c4, but there is other moves one could think about, like a5, or even ignoring to recapture on c4 for a while. But now let's not complicate things too much. Bishop takes c4. It does look reasonable. Not sure if I'm actually better. Bishop c4, c5, and then if d5 there's knight b6. So probably go a5, but then cd, ed. Not sure. I might have done something wrong. Maybe I should go dc a5, actually. The more I think about it, the less appealing is bishop c4, c5. Maybe I'll play a5. a5 just with the idea to stop him from going knight b6. But he doesn't want to allow that, and he goes a5 himself, which also makes some sense. Maybe I just don't get this line as much as I thought I would, and I don't have anything here. Could go c5, but then e5 is coming. f4 is always a bit double-edged. I can't castle because a3 is en prise, so not so easy to come up with a good move. I will castle by hand here, go king f1 and king g2. But yeah, I'm not that happy about my position anymore. What went wrong? I made all the normal moves. Maybe a4 is premature. Maybe a4 was a bit early. Goes knight a6. Maybe this is the time to go c5. Nah, not yet. Not that concerned about bishop c3 and knight b4. It's a nice looking square for the knight. But, well, I have the two bishops, which I'm always happy with, and the knight doesn't really do that much. He goes bishop d6, preparing knight to b4, which makes a bit more sense, I guess. He goes c5. This might be the time to close the position and go c5. Not sure. Bishop c7. I thought he would throw in bishop to b4. Now I might do something very painful for me, which is to part ways with one of my bishops. But I didn't want to allow knight b4, sealing up the, what's it called, b file. So I took and went rook b1. But I don't think I have anything special here. Rook a7 and covering the b7 square. Or even castles, rook b7. Yeah, let's say rook c8. Nothing too impressive. Queen d8. Another question I always have about this position is when is f4 a good move and when is it a bad move? It tends to be a bad move if your pawn chain can get broken up very quickly with g5. He hasn't done that. So knight f6, well, I have the e4 square quite well covered. That's not much of an issue. Not sure if I should go g5, but I don't think there's a reason for it yet. Now the question is how I improve my position. Maybe I'll hint at bishop h4. Now that I hinted at it, I might as well play it. Queen c8. More understanding questions. Do we want to take on f6 here, or don't we? Not sure I want to. This knight, okay, doesn't have that many great squares, so I'll just keep my control of the b-file and try to make him suffer a bit with that, playing to go rook b7, then maybe queen b6. But black is still reasonably solid. Let's see how it goes. I have to regroup this knight somewhere, someday, but I can't do it yet because I have to keep e4 under control. So unless I decide to go bishop f6 one day, which I probably won't, this won't be so easy. Goes knight h7. No, at least I can move the knight. Not sure if I should be very concerned about g5. I shouldn't be, but he goes knight f6, which is very sensible. I really don't want to take on f6 because then after gf, e5 is always coming. So yeah, hard to make progress. I might allow this knight into e4 with a heavy heart. Maybe I should have done this last move when knight e4 wasn't yet possible. I have to try to pick up the a-pawn to justify my operation. Yeah, he rightly goes for some counterplay with f6 and e5. Can't stop him from doing that. I'll just hope that my queenside operation is quicker. Not sure that's the case. Bishop f4. Okay, let's take the pawn, see what happens. g5, then let's try to take more pawns and see what happens. The bishop on e1 looks passive, but it's quite useful covering the f2 square. Yeah, that's why he does not want it there. a5 was a little careless. I should probably have started with something like knight e7 check, but I might still be in time. Am I screwing this up? No, I have a feeling I should be in time. I have these pawns running. And yeah, this was a devious discovered attack on the f8 rook. So now I'm winning. Interesting position and interesting line. I still think white has to be better, but I'm not sure I like this move a4 I played. So Matutev resigns. Let's find yet another opponent. Let's see who pops up. Mr. Turmapfer. Bunch of Germans around today, it looks like. 1942, that makes me enough of a favorite to become all cocky and play the very risky move 1e4. He goes for the Caro-Kann. Against the Caro-Kann, I've always liked the system that Paco Vallejo advocates. The two knights used to be a Fischer favorite, even though he never got anything here. But I never understood. They go, the main line is bishop g4, h3, bishop f3, and black is supposed to be fine. We just give up the two bishops for nothing, so I never understood why this is so great for black. He goes e6, but that's a little passive, and after d4, c5, I'm a tempo up in some French-Sicilian hybrid, so this is not the way to play this line, Mr. Turmapfer. This is already trouble for black. I'm not sure black will be in time here to develop all his pieces. Normally you can't afford to lose a tempo like that with black in the opening if you're gonna open the position. So yeah, this probably didn't go well. Still, I should back up my talk. Try to take this pawn for starters. See where it takes us. Bishop g4 looks logical. Maybe bishop e3 was a little slow. Maybe bishop g5 was more to the point. But okay, what are you gonna do? I'll pretend I blundered a piece with h3 takes on d4, but I actually haven't, devious as I am, because I can pin him. And, well, I'm not sure this was the best way to play the position, but I still am better. Bishop c5, bishop c6, bc, queen c6. Oh, then de3. Oh, I have to be careful. Maybe that's... yeah, bishop c5. Maybe it's smarter to go bishop g5. And white should keep an edge. But the game only just began. Queen b6. He's playing well. Why is everybody playing well? I don't like that at all. Time to calculate here. Bishop f6, dc3, queen g3, even bishop f2 if he wants to. Yeah, I screwed up a little bit here. Is there anything better? I don't know. Something's gone a little wrong. Probably I just have to take what I can get and see where that takes us. Now I'm a pawn up. This was a very good outcome of these complications. Should actually be kind of winning. It's a pawn up with a better pawn structure, so it's hard to believe black can survive this. But what happened before, I'm not that sure myself. Rook on the 7th rank tends to be a good idea, as Mr. Nimzowitsch taught us. I'm sure people knew before Nimzowitsch. Yeah, this should be winning. Do I want to exchange these rooks, or do I go rook b7? b7 check, king e2, rook d1, rook c1, sorry, a5. Yeah, looks like a decent try. Let's see what happens. Probably rook takes d8 was winning, or winning as well, but this looked a little more entertaining. Yeah, that's the line I was talking about. Rook c1, a5, and I thought I should come out on top. Rook c2, king d3, with a bit of a double attack, so this doesn't work. And if you don't have rook c2, then bishop d8 was a bit sad. I'll just either defend my pawn and then take on a7, or take on a7 immediately, so that was quite hopeless. Instead he, well, tries to get some compensation by picking up all my kingside pawns. But yeah, it's not enough, because I'm left with a b-pawn, which will very quickly run. Okay, I think we got time for 2 more games. Let's see who pops up on my screen. It's Mr. Stormbird. Scary name. Stormbird. Where's he from? Another German. How many Germans are there today? I might have to switch the language if it's all these Germans around. e4. What can I do against e4? I never played the French. I promised my first coach, but I can play the modern. I haven't played the modern for a while. Anish Giri didn't have very high praise for it after he got in trouble in Norway chess against Jan Ludvig Hammer. And this 3g3 might be a slightly goofy move, or allowing me to go d5, which is not the end of the world. But if you want to go g3, I think you might want to start with knight c3 and then go g3, just to stop me from doing this. Not that this is anything fantastic though. Knight e2, he's asking me to pin him, so I will gladly oblige. Go bishop g4. Now I could take on e2, and I will, provoking king e2, but it's not really such a big deal. The queen e2, I take the pawn, so I thought this was a mistake. I thought he should have gone king e2. Now he probably has to try e6 or something, but that doesn't look that convincing. So, having said that, what do we do about it? Maybe just develop. Not sure about knight f6. The other moves, fe6, might have been better, dc3. We will never know unless we switch on our chess engine of choice. Oh yeah, he has some compensation, short castles. I'll probably go rook e8 or rook f8. Bishop h3, I don't know, it's very direct, but e5 is a move I would like to play anyway to stop him from giving a check on e6. Now I quite like my chances. Rook e8, I'll just get my king to safety and I'll be left with an extra pawn and a nice pawn center. so things could be worse. Stormbird. Maybe c4. No, it looks strange. Yeah, bishop g5 is a more logical move. I'll go h6, even though I'm not that thrilled about weakening my pawn formation over here. And of course I missed queen to b5. Double attack. So there goes the beautiful extra pawn I had. That's a pity. I really don't want to give up the d5 pawn, so I have to defend it. Yeah, not playing very well. Queen b7, king g8, then oof, there's even bishop d7. Focus. Let's think. Queen b7, king g8, bishop d7, is that a problem? Looks like a problem. cd4 looks like less of a problem. Might have caught a break there. Knight takes, and at least my knight gets active. Even though, yeah, it makes sense. After queen b, he wants to go queen b7, check, king g8, knight c3, and hit the d5 pawn. Yeah, there I've played a bunch of terrible moves. Knight c3 first, okay, also possible. I'm still sort of alright, and I just realized I could have taken his queen in one move. Yeah, I was only thinking, well, queen b7, then knight c3. Note to self, take queen if it is en prise. Did I just trap it? I might have just trapped it, but that's completely accidental. Queen doesn't have any squares, but yeah, I did lose track there a bit. That's really just luck. Stormbird, apologies, that was not planned at all. But I could have taken your queen last move, so you can't feel too bad about it either. You can resign or continue the game with queen takes d5, but yeah, that would leave few chances. Some mutual blunders there against Stormbird, and we can choose one last opponent. Whom will we get? Monchess56 is the name that pops up on my screen. For those guys wondering how I choose, I scrolled into the middle and I just click on the first name that appears on the screen. I used to have these systems to pick from the top or from the bottom, but no one was ever happy about it. So now I'm picking from the middle. I'm not sure. I think as long as we get in a few of these sessions and get to play some games, I'm quite happy with it. And for the last game, I'm gonna play the Taimanov. I can really recommend my boy Robin Van Kampen's video series on the Taimanov. I haven't watched everything of it yet, but I heard it is very, very good, and Robin is a very good theoretician, so I don't doubt it at all. I'm less good of a theoretician in the Taimanov, so I'm gonna have to wing it a little bit. That's an opening I've always been interested in as a weapon to, well, in my case, play for a win against guys with 2300, 2400. When my usual e4, e5, there's a lot of solid lines like the Italian or where the Spanish exchange, the 4 knights. So this is a bit more fun, but you have to know it. He goes knight b5 and then g3. I'm not sure what the point of that move order is. Normally, if you want to go knight b5, you follow it up with bishop e3, and if you want to go g3, you do it without going knight b5 first. However, it can't be too bad. Bishop f4, e5 was no good, so he doesn't do that. And I'll take a page out of Paco Vallejo's playbook and play h5 here, which normally against these g3 lines I think is quite risky, but in this position, maybe since he lost like half a tempo, it is possible. He goes h4, and now I think I'll try to put my knight on f6 since he has weakened his g4 square. This looks kind of reasonable. Bishop c5, bishop e3, I'm not sure what I'm going to do. Maybe I'll go queen a7. Then knight c6, bc. Yeah, nothing special. Or dc, maybe dc is more sound. Now, how do we take back? Always a tricky question in these positions. Probably actually, I don't know, both moves look alright. dc has the advantage that frees this bishop after a future e5. Well, bc has the advantage. It's more traditionally towards the center. Knight g4 allows queen d8 checkmate, so I should probably not do that. You can see I'm starting to grow a little bit insane. e5 is a bit of a pity because I was waiting for castles to play queen takes g3, but I couldn't think of a more sensible move here. Black should be fine. I don't have any particular problems in the structure. It tends to be alright. The bishop is not doing much on g2. Bishop f6, gf I'm not concerned about either. So black is fine, but maybe no more than that, and it felt like there could already have been more. Let's see what he does. Monches56 from Spain goes queen e2. I could go knight g4 if I felt so inclined, and I do. Just... Oh, did that make any sense? He just goes f3, right? Jesus, I'm really starting to play badly. Yeah, that made no sense whatsoever. Ay. Can we justify it and pretend it made some sense with something crazy like f6 or knight f2? Nah, not really. Yeah, that was just dumb. Now I might be in trouble after I lost like 18 tempi with knight g4 and returning to f6. Good, this is the last game because I'm really playing terribly. I might still be alive, like his setup hasn't been too aggressive. But yeah, certainly was no reason to give him 10 free moves and he used them wisely with bishop h3. When yeah, only white can be better. Is this an idea? I'm not sure. Problem now is my king does not have such a safe home. I'll probably put it on e7 and then I have to make sure no white knight appears on f5 because that would be really unpleasant. Else my position might still be playable, but yeah, I'm not very proud with the way I played this game, especially knight g4 was just ridiculous. Let's see what Monches56 comes up with. Rook d3, I can't allow him to have all the squares on the d file, so I'll exchange one pair of rooks and then hope to not get mated, which I would if I really took on g3, so I'm just pretending that I do want to take that guy, and he stops me from my pretend threat. Bishop b6, just hinting at rook to d8, not sure I actually want to do it, and I also missed queen a3 check. f4. Okay, let's do this. Queen a3, I'll probably go here. Looks like I'm still alive, but I've blundered enough things for 2 games already, so I wouldn't be that surprised if that wasn't the case. f5, now my queen at least gets an active square. Queen d3, how's this endgame? No, I don't like the endgame too much. I'll keep queens on the board and try to bother him with my queen, put it on f2. Hope something good comes out of it. It's a bit of a myth, by the way, that queen and knight are always stronger than queen and bishop. I think someone once did research and said that queen and bishop do score a plus score against queen and knight. Well, queen and knight often coordinate quite well. I'm not really buying that story that they're superior to a queen and a bishop. Bishop e6, if queen h5, I was hoping I'd be active enough after queen f2 or queen e3. Not sure that is a given, no, because white can just go a3 and yeah, he should probably take the pawn. Starts with a3, also fair enough, I can't really cover the pawn, so might be time to start begging for the endgame. However, if I can win this ending is very, very unclear. What's the plan? My king can't do anything on the king side, so I'll probably bring it towards the queen side. Put my bishop on f2 and hope he doesn't queen his g-pawn after g4. G4, hg, h5, king e7, h6. Okay, I'm still kind of in time, but winning chances I cannot really spot. I'll just wait and hope he does something careless, but it doesn't look like he's intending to do anything careless. While I am going c5, which is a bit careless, but trying to create some targets in his camp, like the a3 pawn. Not very impressive what I'm doing here, and g4 is now certainly a move. King c2 was bad, now king c4. Actually, I'm sort of back in action. Probably should have gone g4, a move earlier. Now, well, not sure I'm winning, but his life became a little harder. Can hope for some Zugzwang position somewhere. That's not the Zugzwang position I was looking for. Knight d5. Oh yeah, he can do that. still made some progress. I'm gonna pick up the e4 pawn, so I found an excuse to play on time. No, now my position was kind of good anyway, and knight f6 does not help Monches's chances. Good game by Monches, undeserved win by yours truly. I really played that one quite badly. So that's it for today. Thanks a lot for participating. Apologies for that I could not play everybody. Great to see there is still action. I'm back to the Hamburg offices after almost a month on the road, 2 weeks in Norway, which was great fun with all the best players in the world playing Norway chess before I played a tournament in Sardinia, which was a beautiful place, but I did not play very well. I'll see you guys tomorrow when we continue our coverage of the Dortmund Super Tournament with Kramnik, Hu Yifan, Georg Meyer, Wesley So, Arkady Neidich, Livio Dieter, Nisi Pianu, and whom am I forgetting? Fabiano Caruana, Jan Nepomniachtchi. Very strong tournament, so hope to see you guys there tomorrow. Thanks for watching, participating, and all that. Become a Chess24 Premium member if you want to play me or the likes of Peter Svidler and whomever we get to do these Banter Blitzes. That's my closing speech. Thank you so much. See you next time. Bye-bye.